This woman's daughter was allegedly raped and murdered a few days ago. The child had been locked in her own home. Her brother found her bound and gagged and aflame in this back room. She was 16. The third child allegedly burned and raped in India in a week. One died and another was hospitalized in almost identical alleged attacks in Jharkhand province, 800 miles away. But outrage over what some have called an epidemic of violent sex crimes first boiled over this year in January in Jammu, 1,000 miles north. The child was held here in the village temple dedicated to the Hindu god of Ram. She was held for several days. She was drugged, she was tortured, and she was raped by several men. And she was 8 years old. The child was a Muslim. Her body was found not far down this jungle track. The accused in this case have denied all of the allegations against them. But the victim lies buried here in an unmarked grave. To many, she's just yet another victim of a vicious sexual hate crime. But to others, she's a symbol of something more rotten in the body of India. Hindu-Muslim tensions over the death of the child mean some Muslims have been leaving the area.
There is a mob standing everywhere in India waiting for a signal to attack Muslims. They think we'll deal with the repercussions later. No one is held accountable.
Human rights groups are blaming the government and the ruling party.
I squarely hold the government of India responsible, the ruling party responsible, for creating an Islamophobic and anti-Dalit climate that justifies acts of sexual violence and other forms of violence against these minorities.
India's government has scrambled to react to public outrage over the attacks on Muslims and Dalits, so-called untouchables. Minister, what efforts are the Indian government and its agencies working to try to put an end, which critics would say is an epidemic of sexual violence, an epidemic of rape?
There was a commotion in the country and we responded to that. And today we have changed the law by an ordinance. If under 12 years, you will be given death penalty. If it is a gang rape, you'll be giving a death penalty. And your life imprisonment shall be for the whole of the life. What is important is, I must be very honest to you, we have to improve our conviction more. We have to fast track our investigation more. We have to sensitize the entire machinery of delivering justice to be more alarmed to this challenge.
In 2012, just under 25,000 women were reported raped in India. That figure, according to government statistics, jumped to about 40,000 in 2016, revealing perhaps the scale of a long-standing problem. Are you all from this town or nearby? This group of survivors and their families are from the small town of Bharatpur, 4 hours from Delhi. In almost every case, they allege the rapists were from higher castes, and that after reporting the assaults, they had been subjected to brutal intimidation to drop the charges.
1, 2, 3.
You have to be strong to survive an attack, brave to report it, and especially if you're untouchable. A knife was held to her throat by her high caste rapist. He was jailed after she got legal help here. She says that since the conviction, there have been attempts to destroy her house, and her crops have been uprooted. Her husband and his brothers frequently abducted and beaten. They called me a whore, she says. Now, clearly, India has a long way to go, as do many other nations, in terms of how women are treated and how men respond to them. But it is clearly now becoming a hot potato politically, and it is also clear that the central government, at least, is responding to it. Whether that trickles down into the lower levels of society may well depend on many other factors, Christy.